Well, now that I've done reviewing the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films, it is now time to review what is probably, in my opinion, the most underrated Spider-Man movie of all time.
Yo, dudes, the Empire's pretty chill. Maybe you could, join it or something.
Hey everyone, Lucamus Prime here. So, it's time for another review in my Spider-Man film franchise review series. And today, guys, I'm going to be reviewing the first installment of a duology of the movies, which is directed by Mark Webb, which is, of course, about Spider-Man, and it's started to be none other than, of course, 2012's The Amazing Spider-Man. So, yeah, now, this, in my opinion, guys, as you saw by the cold opening of this video, is, in my opinion, the most underrated Spider-Man movie of all time. And, yeah, it's also fun that I've grown to love them more I rewatch it, and, yeah, so I'm definitely going to have a lot of fun talking about this one, most definitely. Because, yeah, when I was younger, I didn't really like it that much. I thought it was, just okay, really, decent, fine for what it was. But the more and more I rewatch it, and the more and more I look back at it, I really tend to like it a lot more. I grow to love it a lot more as I rewatch it. So, yeah, which is pretty awesome, isn't it? So, yeah, now, what is this movie about? So, teenage social outcast Peter, who is now played by Andrew Garfield, spends his days trying to unravel the mystery of his own past and wins the heart of his school crush, Gwen Stacy, now played by Emma Stone. A mysterious briefcase belonging to his father, who abandoned him when he was a child, leads Peter to his dad's former partner, Dr. Kurt Connors, who is played by Rhys Ifans. The discovery of his father's secret will ultimately shape his destiny of becoming Spider-Man and bring him face to face with Connor's villainous alter ego, the Lizard. So, yeah. Now, so what is great about this movie, guys? So, let's talk about the cast first. So, as you just saw when I was talking about, a brief summary of the movie. So in this movie, guys, Spider-Man is played by a new actor because due to the cancellation of Sam Raimi's fourth Spider-Man movie, the franchise rebooted with this movie. And this is probably one of those few reboots which I really love, guys, to be honest, because like I just said, I've grown to love this movie a lot more and more as I rewatch it. And in this film, guys, Spider-Man is played by Andrew Garfield, and I gotta say that, while I still like Tobey Maguire better as Spider-Man, he's still my favourite Spider-Man of all time, I still think Andrew Garfield is an amazing choice for Spider-Man because he does a really amazing job in the role, in my opinion. He plays him so well, in my opinion. And yeah, such a great job, and his acting was definitely really amazing, and I think he's a great actor in general, guys, in other things besides, as Spider-Man. But yeah, Spider-Man is my favourite role of Andrew, most definitely, and it always will be because he's a great actor. And this movie definitely shows, how great he is as an actor, most definitely. Plays him very well, and yeah, he did a great job. And I also as well love the addition as well of Emma Stone as Gwen Stacy, and I'm also going to say, guys, that I do prefer Gwen Stacy far more in this duology compared to the Gwen from Spider-Man 3, because yeah, I feel Gwen was a pointless addition to Spider-Man 3, guys, but in this movie I really loved Gwen, and I consider her to be one of Emma Stone's best roles. I mean, my favourite role of hers is probably Wichita in the Zombieland films, but as Gwen Stacy, she's probably my favourite Gwen in live action, and she does a really great job as her. And I think one of the highlights of this movie, guys, is probably definitely the chemistry between Andrew and Emma as Spider-Man and Gwen, because yeah, it definitely was really great and very well developed, guys, and also as well, it also feels very realistic and natural because during production of the movie, guys, the actors actually were dating in real life. So yeah, it helps make the scene feel much more realistic and natural, yeah, because they're actually, dating in real life. So yeah. And also, when it comes to other cast members, I definitely really love the addition as well of Rhys Ifans as Dr. Kurt Connors, who of course goes on to becoming one of Spider-Man's villains, being the Lizard. So yeah. And Rhys Ifans did a really amazing job playing both Kurt Connors and the Lizard, guys, yeah. He played him so well, both personas, brilliantly. He's also a great actor, guys, and I actually consider Lizard to be my favourite role of Rhys Ifans, actually, because he did a very good job playing Lizard, and yeah, did a very good job in the role, in my opinion. So yeah, definitely an excellent choice for him. And yeah, and I love, of course, how how I mentioned when I was reading a summary of the movie that he has a connection to Peter Parker's parents. So it builds like a strong connection between them, really. Absolutely. And he was also pretty scary as a lizard too. He had a pretty menacing voice as him as well, definitely. And I also as well like the addition as well of Denis Leary as Captain George Stacy, Gwen's dad. And I also prefer this version of George way more than the version from Spider-Man 3 as well, because I think the version from Spider-Man 3 didn't have very much screen time, even though I did like James Cromwell's performance and also how he looked like the characters in the comics, but yeah. And I feel in this version he cared more about his daughter than the version from Spider-Man 3, because yeah, at least in this version he didn't sound really bland, like he didn't even care when Gwen was hanging off a construction and site thing, yeah. Because he sounded really bland in Spider-Man 3 when that scene happened, which I didn't really like. So yeah, in this movie, you could tell how much, George cared about his daughter, most definitely. And Denis Leary did a very great job playing him. He's probably my favourite George Stacy in live action, and I don't mind him being, younger than his comic counterpart, because yeah, this is like, the start of Spider-Man's origin story, so I'm expecting some characters to probably be, a bit young in this movie, and it shows here with George, for example. So yeah, and I think this is my favourite live-action role of Denis Leary, guys. Oh, my favourite role is probably Diego in the Ice Age films, but I think he's still great as George Stacy. And yeah, in addition, guys, when it comes to a cast, I also as well liked the addition of course, Peter Parker's aunt and uncle, Ben and May. So Uncle Ben was played by Martin Sheen in this movie, and yeah, Martin Sheen did a very good job playing Uncle Ben, in my opinion, guys. I think he played him really well, and he also played him pretty seriously, is what I did like. So I like how this movie didn't try to rehash, Sam Raimi's first Spider-Man movie by portraying some characters differently, because I feel if they tried to copy Sam Raimi's movie, they'd have probably made it too predictable. And thankfully in this movie, they didn't really do that. And I liked how Uncle Ben was pretty serious in this movie, and you can tell how much he cares about Peter. And Martin Sheen did a very good job of that, and he's my second favourite Uncle Ben of all time after Cliff Robertson, may rest in peace. And yeah, Martin Sheen played him really well. I think it was probably my favourite role of Martin Sheen, actually. Yeah. And I also, as well, of course, loved Sally Field as Aunt May as well. And she's also my second favourite Aunt May after Rosemary Harris. And yeah, and I really love this version of Aunt May. Even though she's a bit younger than Rosemary Harris, but I still love Sally Field as her. And for what she's worth, guys, I would definitely take her over the version from the MCU, because as you guys may or may not know, I do hate the MCU's Aunt May, apart from in No Way Home. So yeah. Yeah, this version I'd definitely take over that version, definitely. So yeah, and Sally Field did a very great job playing her, and you can tell that Aunt May also cares about Peter like Uncle Ben does as well. So yeah, I definitely like that. And there was also as well other good actors in this movie as well. You got people like Campbell Scott, who plays Richard Parker, Peter's dad, and also Embeth Davidtz also made a small appearance as well as Peter's mother as well, which was definitely pretty cool. Mary Parker, and although I do like her better as Miss Honey Matilda, and also in Schindler's List, but she was still really good in this movie, definitely. And also, we also got an appearance as well by Earthen Khan, may he rest in peace, as Mr. Raffer, who is an Oscorp executive, the superior to Kurt Connors. And yeah, I think one bad quality I could say about this movie is that Mr. Raffer was pretty unlikable. I didn't really like him very much. He annoyed me, but Earthen Khan did a great job bringing the character to life, so I've got to give praise to Earthen Khan for bringing him to life, and of course, may rest in peace, yeah. It's very sad that he died, yeah. I like Earthen Khan better in things like, Jurassic World and Life of Pi, but yeah, he did a good job bringing Mr. Raffer to life, yeah. We got to give him credit for that, guys. We also got an appearance as well by Chris Zliker as Flash Thompson, who is the school bully, who typically he bullies Peter. And he played him really well, made him the unlikable bully that he is, guys. Did a very good job with that. I definitely take his version over the version from the MCU as well, definitely. Although my favourite Flash Thompson is still Joe Manganiello from the first Spider-Man movie by Sam Raimi, but Chris Liker was really good in the role, in my opinion. And we also got a small appearance as well by C. Thomas Howell as someone who is on the bridge scene, whose son gets trapped in a car. He played him really well, guys, although I do like him better for his voice work in DC as people like Reverse Flash and Captain Cold, but he was still very good in his small in this movie. And yeah, plus we also got a cameo appearance as well by an actor who appeared in the Raimi trilogy, guys, believe it or not, which is of course Michael Papajohn, who plays Dennis Carradine, because because in this movie he makes a cameo appearance as Mr. Raffer's limousine driver, which is definitely pretty cool. He originally wanted to be asked to reprise as well as Carradine, but it was decided that, you know, they'd give it to a different actor, which of course was, yeah, it wasn't him. Instead, the killer was played by, who was it? Let me have a look. Yeah, someone called Gantvu, I think it is, yeah, Gantvu, yeah. Yeah, Leave Gantvu, yeah, that's his name, yeah. Who plays the burglar who robs a convenience store and then shoots Uncle Ben, yeah. I think Uncle Ben's death scene was definitely very heartbreaking, guys, and yeah, another highlight for Andrew Garfield's acting, in my opinion, guys, because yeah, he definitely acted so well in that scene. Like it was in many other scenes as well, yeah, definitely. And we just got a really funny cameo appearance as well by Stan Lee, guys, and this was definitely one of my favourite cameos of him, definitely, where he appears as a librarian listening to classic music on headphones, and he's completely oblivious to Spider-Man fighting Lizard in the library, which is pretty cool. And Hi-Shi, of course, even made a joke about that by having, you know, Stan Lee's librarian character appear at the end of their video, ranting about his library being trashed, and he accused of the Avengers, and yeah. It's even awesome how he even got Stan to voice himself in that cameo, which is pretty awesome, so yeah, and of course, rest in peace, Stan Lee, legend. So, aside from the cast, guys, as well, I did also as well love, now, one of the reasons why I've grown to love this movie a lot more as I rewatch it is mainly as well because of some things aging really well. For example, guys, I really loved the visuals, because the visuals are absolutely beautiful with the 2012, guys, and 10 years later, you know, when I rewatched it last night, it amazed me how well they've aged, really. Like, look, they look like they've aged so well and could be compared to movies of this decade. They're that good. Like, the swinging scenes are definitely visually stunning and brilliant, and there's also an example of CGI, which I didn't even know was CGI, guys, which was, of course, when at one point when Spider-Man, you know, swings up to, you know, a glass window, and you can see him, yeah. Like, as a fun fact, guys, that close-up of Spider-Man's mask was fully CGI, which amazed me, but it looks so realistic. You know, I at first thought it was Andrew, but nope, it was CGI. Like, wow. and yeah. And also, speaking of CGI, guys, I also definitely really love the Lizard's CGI in this movie. The Lizard CGI, in my opinion, has aged really well. Like, it's amazing to me how well it looks for 2012. Like, it's just brilliant, really. And yeah. And if you guys are wondering, you know, which performance by Rhys Ifans I prefer as Lizard, I prefer him more in this movie because, yeah. Because one thing I noticed when comparing his voice to his voice in No Way Home is his voice in No Way Home for some reason didn't sound as deep as this voice for some reason. And I personally prefer Lizard sounding deeper, to be honest. So, yeah. And so, yeah. But Lizard was definitely a great villain in this movie, guys, yeah. Definitely very good. And Rhys Ifans did a very good job bringing him to life, absolutely. And another good thing as well, one other highlight that I definitely love about this movie, guys, is definitely the soundtrack, which is composed by the late James Horner, may he rest in peace. And his music was, in my opinion, guys, his music is very underrated. And is very well composed, and probably one of his best scores ever that I've heard. Because he did a very good job composing the music. Really amazing job. Like, wow. He did so well composing the music, guys. And definitely a big departure from, you know, Danny Elfman's and Christopher Young's scores from the Raimi trilogy. You know, he did a very good job with soundtrack in this, and yeah. And the main theme especially is definitely one of the highlights. And there's other great pieces of music that I love listening to as well. And yeah. And this movie also does something new, which is where it also focuses more on Peter Parker's school life, which is pretty cool as well. I did like that. And it definitely was very good how it focused on that as well. And I also love how as well they handled the spider bites differently to a Sam Raimi 2002 movie. Because yeah, I'm very glad they didn't, you know, just copy the movie in a way, because that make it too predictable. So yeah, I like how, you know, where they changed it, and, you know, they made Peter's behaviour change drastically, such as, you know, like being able to break things easily, and, you know, very quick reflexes, and also, you know, being able to hold on to things as well, yeah. Although I will admit, the scene on the underground subway where, you know, he touches a woman's clothes and, you know, he can't let go, and then, you know, when he's pushed off, he accidentally rips off her clothes, yeah, that's a little bit weird, isn't it? Yeah, pretty weird. And yeah. So other highlights as well, you know, in terms of scenes, is I definitely love a bridge scene. That's probably my favourite scene in a movie, guys, the bridge scene. That was definitely a very good scene in my opinion, guys, and And it shows how great of an actor Andrew is as Spider-Man, especially when he interacts with a kid called Jack, who is, you know, C. Thomas Howell's character's son. And yeah, he definitely did a very good job interacting with Jack in that scene and saving him from a car which caught on fire. Yeah, he was very good, definitely. And plus as well, the final conversation between Spider-Man and Lizard is also very good as well, guys. Definitely very good. Pretty nice. And yeah, it was definitely a very well handled scene, very well choreographed as well. And the CGI for Lizard is very impressive as well, definitely. And yeah. And also, as well, one of the reasons why I also as well loved, you know, George Stacy in this movie more than Spider-Man 3 is also because he helped Spider-Man at the end, yeah. He realised that Spider-Man is not, you know, a villain or anything like that because of his, you know, vigilantic behaviour, you know, where he was hunting down, you know, his uncle's killer. He realised that Spider-Man is, you know, a hero, and he went to help him against Lizard. But unfortunately, he got mortally wounded by Lizard, and he sadly died. And he made Peter promise that he would, you know, leave Gwen out of his, you know, his battles. And yeah, definitely a very emotional scene, guys. And yeah, so that's why, you know, Dennis Leary is my favourite George Stacy. And yeah, so, and another highlight of the movie, guys, is also most definitely as well, you know, when it comes to the ending scene, because we get a pretty awesome final swing, guys, which is definitely very good to watch. And I love how they made it different to the Sam Raimi final swings by including slow motion shots. That was definitely very good to see. And yeah, it was definitely very well made, in my opinion, visually stunning as well. And yeah, it was definitely great to see. And there was also as well a pretty nice ending scene, which appeared to be setting up, you know, sequels where it involves someone who is referred to as the Man in the Shadows, or who speaks to Connors in his prison cell, who asks if Peter knows the truth about his father. Connors, of course, does not know, and demands that Peter be left alone before the man disappears. So yeah, and that was, of course, setting up sequels, and the Man in the Shadows was, of course, played by Michael Massey. May he rest in peace. And yeah, this wouldn't be his first time in a Marvel role, guys, because he previously was the voice of Bruce Banner in the Ultimate Avengers animated films, which is pretty cool. So yeah. And of course, may rest in peace. And so, this may not be my favourite Spider-Man movie of all time, though, guys. So there is some bad qualities I could say I have of this movie. So for example, you know, now short for a movie which is, you know, more than 2 hours, the pacing can sometimes be a bit slow. Sometimes, which is, you know, understandable. But you know, sometimes, you know, the pacing is good. Sometimes not so good. And in addition as well, while I did like Chris Liker as Flash, I feel like he didn't really have very much development in this movie, really, to be honest, which is why I prefer Joe Manganiello's version. And yeah. And I also sort of didn't really like as well how Peter ran away after not picking up Aunt May when he was going to Oscorp to see Dr. Connors. And yeah. And it also wasn't... And I also as well thought it was weird how he tried to buy chocolate milk from the store, of course, and he tried to take 2 pennies from a donation plate. So that's not really a good idea, is it? Because those coins are going to a donation for a charity. So yeah, that's not really a good idea, Peter. And yeah. And so yeah. And he also as well spent most of his vigilantism trying to find his uncle's killer. So yeah, like because when he, you know, was apprehending the criminals, he just left them after realizing they weren't his uncle's killer. So yeah. And also, speaking of Uncle Ben's killer as well, the killer appears to have somehow got away with, you know, killing Uncle Ben, which is, you know, pretty disappointing, really. And they don't really seem to, you know, go back to it again, yeah, because he's never seen again after killing Uncle Ben. So yeah, and this unfortunately undermines Peter's character growth because even though he does catch his uncle's killer in some other media, you know, he realises that it was the same burglar that he let escape, you know, when he was being irresponsible. Well, because he didn't stop the robbery, of course, and the burglar, you know, robbed the store. So it makes Peter feel responsible for Uncle Ben's death, and it causes him, of course, to uphold his motto with great power comes great responsibility. So yeah. And so yeah. And of course, sadly as well, of course, in, you know, the god-awful sequel to this movie, Peter, of course, disrespects Captain Stacy's wish by dating Gwen. So yeah. And if you guys have seen the sequel, you know how that turns out with Gwen, don't you? So, yeah. And also, when it comes to Spider-Man's suit, guys, you know, the suit, in my opinion, is decent, but, you know, I feel like it feels too much like a bit of a knockoff of a Raimi suit in some cases, really. It kind of feels like a bit of a knockoff of a Raimi suit. I mean, it's still good in my opinion, though. But, you know, still not really the best suit. I mean, thankfully, even though I do despise the sequel, guys, I do prefer the suit in that over this. But, yeah. I mean, but they did a good job, you know, building the suit. But, and I like how, you know, the visors are from sunglasses shades, which is pretty cool. But, yeah. Still, though, you know, I do wish that they had a better suit, which didn't look much like, you know, a Raimi suit, really. So, yeah. But, nonetheless, though, guys, I still think this movie is the most underrated Spider-Man movie of all time, and I really love it. I've grown to love it more and more as I rewatch it, so, yeah. And Andrew Garfield is my second favourite Spider-Man of all time, and he does a great job in the role, and, yeah, because, and even though I do hate the sequel, I still think he's one of the highlights of his acting in that movie, and my love for him as Spider-Man was further cemented when he reprised his role in Spider-Man No Way Home as well. So, yeah, and I really hope he gets a third movie, absolutely. He definitely deserves it, in my opinion. Because if Tobey Maguire and Tom Holland can have Spider-Man trilogies, so can Andrew. So, yeah. And, so, yeah. So, this movie, Amazing Spider-Man, guys, definitely an underrated movie, and it's even spawned a video game based on a movie which I played. It's a pretty good game, guys. Pretty good game, in my opinion. And, yeah. So, if I was to rank The Amazing Spider-Man out of 10, guys, well, I've grown to love it a lot more than I used to. I used to give it probably like a 7 out of 10, I think, in my Spider-Man ranking, but with rewatches, I've loved it even more, and I now give The Amazing Spider-Man, guys, an 8.5 out of 10. So, yeah, I love this movie, guys. Great movie, in my opinion. So, yeah. I think my 5th favourite Spider-Man movie of all time after Spider-Man 2, Spider-Verse, Spider-Man 2002, and No Way Home. So that's how I'd rank it, because, yeah, I love this movie. Very underrated movie, in my opinion. And it's definitely way better than the sequel I've got to rant about next week. Oh, God! I am not looking forward to that, but wish me luck, guys, because I'll be watching that movie next week for its trash talk, and, yeah. Wish me luck, guys. This will be my first time watching it since I saw it in theatres, and I walked out at the ending, so, yeah. So, guys, anyway, this is me with the Amazing Spider-Man, so, you know, drill, guys. Be sure to give this video a like. Also, be sure to leave in the comments what you guys think of the Amazing Spider-Man, what you guys think of it. Also, be sure to join Team Prime by pressing subscribe for more videos coming in the future. If you'd like to be a member, you can join with your PC lads, or you can look the description. And with great power comes great responsibility.